This would be what the Bible called Attalia. This would have been the place Paul left after he left Purge. That's what they call the Roman harbor behind us. You can see the wall. It looks like the wall around the Temple Mount in Jerusalem for a reason, because that wall around the Temple Mount, you know, most likely that's the Roman fort for the, you know, where they house the Legion X, you know, 10th Roman Legion. It's not what people think it is. Nevertheless, that's the wall behind us.
Nothing really special about that wall.
Yeah, nothing special about that wall, any more special than that behind us. It was built by Romans. And anyways, it was built by Romans, and this is the port that Paul would have left. This is a city like, would have been like Jacksonville in the United States, or maybe Boston. Yeah. Give you an idea here, you know, you'd have had the water right down there, as you can see, all the way around. Just want to give you guys a good idea of where we're at. Okay. It's interesting to see some of these places. When you see them, it takes
that magic away.
Yeah, it takes some of the, you know, ooh, you know, the ooh factor. You realize they were just regular cities like any other city, and they were only important because people were there. It had nothing to do with anything else. That's why Paul went to these places. It was for the people. It wasn't for the land. So that's why we're doing this for you guys, to help. Anyways, I ended it, or, you know, in the last section I was talking to you about these false teachers and them getting you in trouble and them being preordained to do the stuff they're doing. They don't understand. They don't see anything wrong with what they're doing. You know, you'll hear a lot of excuses out of people. Every time one of these pastors or priests, you know, they get caught in the middle of doing something, there's always an excuse in the sense of, well, that doesn't mean they're all that way, and it certainly doesn't. We wouldn't say that ever at all. I have not a blanket condemnation against all of them. Just like you had Nicodemus amongst the Pharisees who, you know, he believed Jesus Christ, and so did other Pharisees, but they were afraid of what the other men of higher stature amongst the people than themselves. They were afraid of what those people would say about them, so they hid their belief. You know, that's why Nicodemus went to Jesus Christ at night. He went in the evening so the other people wouldn't see him. And he went and he said, look, we know. He said, we, as in the Pharisees, we know that no man can do the works you're doing except God be with him. I.e., there's only one God. They didn't believe in a real supernatural devil or anything. The Beelzebub and all this was them slandering people. They accused each other of being in league. They didn't really believe that. They understood when they seen supernatural activity that could only come from the one and only God. Exactly what Jesus Christ said, the greatest thing that Israel needed to hear. Hear ye, O Israel, your God, your Lord, is one Lord. He's one God. There aren't other gods. And there's no supernatural devil. I've heard all of the arguments about that. The fallen angel, Lucifer, and all that, that's people. That's all Lucifer is. It means light bearer, life bearer. He's kicked out of the garden. That's why in Ezekiel and it's Isaiah as well, you've got these references to the Garden of Eden or the day that I created you, right? And, you know, go look at what the precious stones are that he's covered in, and then go look at the precious stones in the book of Revelation in the New Jerusalem. It's not talking about physical stones, yeah? It's talking about how God sees his creation. That's how God sees his creation. The way a rich man might view precious gems, you know, 2,000 or 3,000 years ago. It's metaphorical. Anyways, that's not talking about a supernatural cherub, yeah? The cherub, the most anointed cherub, it was man. It was Adam. You can go right back to Genesis 2 and see where it says, about Adam, that, he basically put him in the garden to dress it and keep it. And when you look at the word dress and keep, it means to basically be responsible for it and protect it. That's what those words are translated. The Hebrew words mean to be basically responsible and a protector. To take care. The most anointed cherub in the garden, it was Adam. That's why there was iniquity found in him. Until the day iniquity was found in you, and then I cast you profane out, Iniquity was deliberate disobedience. Paul tells you it wasn't the man that was fooled, it was the woman being deceived. She was deceived. Adam wasn't. Adam knew better. He knew not to listen to his wife. That's why God in Genesis tells him, because you've listened to your wife. Thorns and thistles is what's going to grow out of the ground now because of that. Curse. Same thing Paul warns you about, not bearing in your heart thorns and thistles. The same way Jesus Christ warns you about the seed when it's fallen, some of it with the cares of the life, cares of the world, maybe words of a spouse. It's going to bear thorns and thistles. People are going to get offended and fall away because they didn't think that this is what, following the truth would be like. They got told fairy tale lies by false teachers that your life is going to be perfect and great. That would make what Jesus Christ plainly said and the apostles plainly said, that would make that not true. They said if we follow the truth, if we follow Him, we are going to have tribulation in the world.
He never promised an easy life.
Never promised an easy life. Matter of fact, said it would be hard. The Apostle Paul repeated it in the book of Acts when he said it's with much tribulation that we enter into the kingdom of God. The apostles tell you that this is God's pleasure, that we should suffer a little while, to be worthy of the kingdom of God, basically. It's to teach us a lesson so we never freaking disobey His voice ever again for all of eternity. So we've learned our friggin' lesson. That's what this is about. Learning your lesson. Not telling lies and not listening to that lies to you, but listening to God who made you.
So there is no supernatural devil that you can blame for all your bad actions.
No, it's this. That's what the serpent is. And that's what we're trying to tell you anyways. We got off topic, but that's what Lucifer is. He's the light bearer. That's what the word means, shining one or light bearer. The book of John tells you who Jesus Christ is. In Him was life, and life was the light of men. He's the light that lights every man that comes into the world. If He lit you, and you don't have the light in yourself, but you're lit of the light, you carry the light. This is why He talks about your light, your eye, the eye of your candle being the light, right? If that's split, you're evil. And He tells you if it's split, there's darkness, and how great is that darkness? He's talking about, again, the fallen cherub. He's talking about disobedient man. If your light's split, if you serve the world and you try to serve God, it doesn't work, ever. The light has to be single. But nevertheless, if you've got the light in you, you're not the light yourself, but you do what? You carry it.
You carry it.
You bear life, i.e. Lucifer. That's what that means. These smart people, they understood that, right? If you go to the theologians, the intelligent people, they understand that that's not talking about a supernatural devil. They know nobody other than false prophets during the Second Temple period, probably, and on, ever considered that a supernatural fallen angel. Nobody ever believed that. Yeah, they understood it was clearly talking about a human being at that time. It was talking about a king at that time. And it was talking about men in a more general sense.
Nice to meet you.
My pleasure completely.
Thanks for meeting us here. We really appreciate you coming out. We're trying to figure out whether the Statue of Liberty has some sort of hidden meaning, maybe something sinister or nefarious. One of the most incredible things that we've heard so far is that the Statue of Liberty is actually Satan or the devil or Lucifer.
The Statue of Liberty actually is a symbol of Lucifer.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, go to your computer and put in the word Statue of Liberty and Satan, and 500 pages are going to immediately come up telling you that they're linked. And we all have access to that. That's just noise. What we don't have is the truth. And that's why we started this journey, to find that truth. Where did that idea come from? And every time we make some progress, we wind up right back where we started, with someone once again saying that the Statue of Liberty is somehow a satanic symbol. But what is the answer? Where did it start?
The Statue of Liberty actually is a symbol of Lucifer.
Killing me.
But not the Lucifer that you're thinking of. All right?
She breathes a sigh of relief.
How is the Statue of Liberty Lucifer?
Okay, excellent question. First, we have to go into what Lucifer really means. Now, where people get confused about Lucifer is specific to us a passage of the Bible in the book of Isaiah, where he says this: "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?" People have been saying, well, this is about Lucifer the devil. And it is not. But the word Lucifer here is not meant as a proper name. In the 4th century, in Latin, Lucifer meant one who bears light. And it was often used as a name for the planet Venus, the morning star, the one who bears light first thing in the morning before the sun even comes up. In that sense only, the Statue of Liberty is a Lucifer. It is a light bearer, not in the sense of Satan, not in the sense of Beelzebub, you know, the Prince of Darkness. It's not that kind of connection at all.
I was so relieved. This man had sound credentials and I trusted him. So first I was freaking out, but then I understood. Lucifer is the Latin word meaning light bringer. So in that regard, the Statue of Liberty is a Lucifer.
So they're making a misinterpretation, point blank, of the word Lucifer.
Hello. That's exactly it. There's nothing there at all about the statue in any kind of way, abstract or not, being a Satan. That's just not happening.
So there again, there's no supernatural fallen angel devil either. Yeah, that's a lie. All of the fallen angels were cast down to Tartarus. That's what we're told. They were destroyed. And partially, that's the key word, partially. The only thing of them that's still in operation to this day, it's not supernatural. But they most certainly do want to take other people with them, whether they're conscious of that or not is a separate issue. I don't think they are. I think they're just that blind. And that's these false teachers we're trying to tell you about, constantly writing books. They have no business writing books. If it was Solomon that wrote Ecclesiastes, yeah, at the end of Ecclesiastes, he admonishes his child and says, you know, some of it is this: don't write too many books. You know, fear God, and that's about it. You know, that's all of the wisdom right there. Be smart, be afraid of God, who can destroy you eternally. Yeah, and don't write too many books because you're not as smart as you think you are. You know, it's kind of like, you know, the sum of the wisdom in Ecclesiastes, where he said, what I would like to do is have all of these men, because he was dealing with pagan beliefs, false beliefs at that time. Yeah, he knew all about it, being married to Pharaoh's daughter. They believed in an afterlife and all of these things. He said, what I would love to do is have men see that they are nothing more than beasts. And what he meant by that was we're just animals. We're just really smart animals. The other animals aren't cursed because they don't know they're going to die. We know we're going to die. We know there's nothing in the natural world that we can do to get around it. That's the curse human beings live with. That's what he was wanting people to see, rather than them tell themselves lies that they were going to come alive when they died and go to the afterlife, because that's what Pharaoh taught. That's what the Egyptians believed. That's what the Babylonians, the Persians, the Greeks, all of the tribes, all of the heathens around Israel, that's what they always taught, was spirit world afterlives. And Solomon was, correct. He wished he could make these people see that there was, nothing more to them than just what other animals are. But God had mercy on us and promised a resurrection. That's what he promises. That's what we hope for. That's what we want to see you participate in. That's what we want to see all of the people on this planet. They're all related to us. We're all the same blood. We all come from the same place. This earth is about to end. Yeah? The great river that ran through Babylon, was the Euphrates River. Just like we've shown you in Purge, that city's dead because the river's gone. Yeah? When the book of Revelation says the great river dries up, it's not talking about the place that this country that we're in right now has dammed up. They've got a big dam. They've dammed the literal Euphrates River up. It's not talking about that literal river any more than it was literally talking about a literal Babylon over in Iraq. It's not. Nobody lives in Babylon in Iraq now. It's a ghost town just like Purge. It was a port city. It was given life by the river Euphrates. That's why he tells Abraham, from the river Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates, I give your seed, all of the people on this earth that are your seed, that are in your seed, children of the faith, right? Genesis 2 doesn't mention the river in Egypt for a reason, but it does mention the great river Euphrates, That great river Euphrates that's drying up, that's the life that's ending on this planet. That's what that is. It's the river of life for the planet Earth. And Babylon, that great city, that feeds off of that river of life, it will die too. That's what that boils down to. Euphrates River down the road from here, it's dried up into mud puddles already in most places. It's not talking about that. This isn't something literal like that. It's talking about the river of the earth. It's talking about Babylon the Great, the city. Go look at a picture of the United States, by the way, at nighttime, Tell me if that looks like a country with a bunch of different states, or tell me if it just doesn't look like one big city with lights as far as you can see, infected the whole world. But nevertheless, that's what's drying up as well. So we're here telling you, warning you about that, and trying to tell you to please, quit telling people that no man knows the day or the hour, because that's not true either. Jesus Christ would not let it come on any of us like a thief in the night. He didn't. Did he, Anna?
No.
He didn't. He showed us, you don't know what we know. And it's not our job to go out there and tell you what God personally showed us that we know it was meant just for me and her. God can show you things too. We know that if you really want to find out the truth, you will find out a date, don't we?
Mm-hmm. And he will show it to you.
And he'll show it to you. He'll show you the date. And when you come to the date, you'll understand what the United States is. Period. Because that's God sending the United States a message and the people in it. That's in a book that's 3,000 years old, by the way. Again, engineer, mathematicians, physicists, go off probabilities. Likelihood of something like that happening, it's astronomical. It's not a coincidence. We're not crazy. That's not the only date. We've watched plenty now happen. So we know what we're telling you is true. That's why we're so damn scared. That's why we're coming to you. And we're begging you, man. You ain't got a way around this. One thing you are right about. You keep saying, that, Paul warns us in 2 Thessalonians. He did. Because there were Alexander and Hymenaeus and the other guy, Alexander the coppersmith, the money guy from Ephesus with the shrines, probably one of these false prophets that came in here. Well, our light just went off. Nevertheless, sorry, our light just went off, so that's interesting. Anyways, this guy, these guys were running around spreading a bunch of lies. That was the beginning of the doctrine of the Nicolaitans. They were telling things, telling people stories like, preterism, the resurrection had already passed. They were telling all kinds of things. The day of the Lord's at hand, all this crazy stuff, lying, tricking people. Paul tells them, he said, listen, he said, don't let any of these people fool you. Yeah? And he had already sent them a letter before. Read 1 Thessalonians. He says, you guys aren't in darkness. You're children of the light. The day stars are risen in your heart. You know to watch and wait, and you'll know. You know why? Because when you're watching and waiting, when you see what happens, and you know what it is, you will understand why the days are given to you in the book of Daniel. They're not days of years. They're not freaking weeks of years. We're trying to help you. Wake up. God gave you those days there for a reason. These false teachers out of the Second Temple period started teaching a damn weeks of years.
Well, that's why they don't know the dates.
That's why they don't know the dates.
They don't know what's going on because they've been teaching a lie.
Exactly. They've been teaching a lie. Paul's telling them right there, you guys know, you'll be watching when you see the abomination that causes desolation, you'll know it's on at that point. And he tells them, just so you know, don't be afraid about anything else, like you've missed it, because the day of the Lord, that means the day of the Lamb, his wrath, the sixth seal of the book of Revelation, when they run into the rocks and hide, that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about the whole tribulation period. He's talking about the wrath of God. That's what Paul's speaking about there, the day of the Lord. Yeah, that day, that wrath of God won't come until there comes a falling away first and the man of sin be revealed publicly. We already know who he is. You can sit there and say nobody knows.
Some people know.
Some people know.
And it's more than us, and two of us.
Well, even if it wasn't. But we know it's more than two of us. We know there are other people who know exactly who he is. He's not the Antichrist. He's just a mouthpiece for the Antichrist. That's what we keep trying to tell you. He's literally the mouth of the beast. Yeah, but we know who he is because we know what he's done. We've seen it. And we're going to try to help you. Open your eyes. If you don't harden your heart, if you'll open your door to your heart, because Jesus is standing there knocking with the truth. He wants to show you. Once you see that date, you'll understand. But Paul tells them, don't even worry about this, because you know that that day, the day of the Lord, won't happen until there come that fallen away first and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. It doesn't say that's the day because he goes into the temple of God. No. He mentions that as being a characteristic of him. He said the great falling away will happen and that man of sin will be revealed. How is he revealed? The man of sin will be revealed when the great falling away happens. The great falling away is probably going to happen next year. That's what we're telling you. That's what the damn lies they're telling you about the UFO disclosure is. That's what all your false prophets and false teachers feeding you garbage about fallen angels and Nephilim hybrids walking around on the planet. Now they're telling people with blonde hair. We've heard this one too. Insectoids, lizard people, tarantuloids. This is insane. None of that damn stuff is true. We're trying to help you here. Yeah? They're going to come out and they're going to tell that. And then next year, when this is out, people are going to have to make a choice all over the world. They will either choose to believe the Bible and what God tells them, because God ain't going to let this thing happen in secret, I can promise you. That one I know for sure, because we get told in Daniel, many of understanding will instruct the people who don't understand. Yeah? Right? It tells them that. But a lot of people will cleave to them with flatteries, you know. And they'll fall by the sword, by flame, and by captivity, by spoil many days. Now when they fall, they'll be helped with a little help. We're giving you some hints here. Yeah. Right? And then it tells you a little later, but some of those that have understanding will fall, to try them, to purge them, to make them white. Yeah? The white robes given to them in the fifth seal, you know, the book of Revelation. That's what the prophet Daniel is speaking about. It's not talking, there's no pre-tribulation, Star Trek, ball of light rapture. That's a lie by these same false teachers. The resurrection of the dead, that's it. And the rest of the people that are still living. And God doesn't want everybody to die. It's not ordained. Yeah. The elect that don't have to see death, they get to come through this. And they get to see eternal life with never dying. That's the blessed hope. We already know better. I ain't getting out of this one alive. Neither is my wife. We understand that now. But we hope that some of you guys will. We hope that you'll listen to us. So again, Paul told them that for a reason. Next year, the whole world will have a choice. It'll be that hour of temptation coming on all of them to either go with the United States and go with, which is Babylon, go with the beast, go with the world. Yeah, do what technology tells them to do what the scientists tell them to do what the government tells them to do what their family tells them to do what their jobs tell them to do what everybody tells them to do their whole life, or do what the God of the Bible tells them to do. Yeah. And he ain't going to hide that part either, by the way. That's the great temptation that's going to come onto the whole world. That's the great falling away that Paul's talking about. When that happens, there won't be any doubt that this is what it is. There won't be any doubt that this is the mark of the beast. They're not going to, I doubt they'll call it the beast. They're not going to do that, I don't think.
Come get your
mark. Come get your yay old mark of the beast down here. It's going to be whatever damn things come out of the United States, and I'm telling you, you either side with the United States or you side with the constitutional government or the pro-liberty, whatever
or
garbage
whatever
they've got
gonna do.
That their AI is concocted. Hell, we've discussed it. Maybe they'll have some kind of, artificially generated face of George Washington. That's what we suspect. Yeah, and leaders from all over the world in the AI.
But that's
let your brain imagine that. We have no idea concerning that. We just know that this is the tool that they're going to use to roll it out, most likely. That's going to be your choice. So your choice will be to go along with everything you've been taught your whole life, everything you've ever read or seen in a movie, everything your false teachers have told you at the church houses. And let me tell you something. Your teachers at the church houses, I know them better than you do. Yeah? That I can guarantee. The reason I picked you is because you had enough guts to leave the Catholics, so I figure you're looking for the truth. So maybe you'll hear it from me. Yeah? We had a Baptist pastor years ago. Yeah, we really liked the guy. Yeah, he's a very good friend of ours. He baptized me, baptized my wife. We went to his little Baptist church house congregation group, I guess, in Moscow. Yeah, as an American. From, where was he from? Indiana? Iowa? It doesn't matter. Anyways, one is a country guy, yeah. Nicest guy in the world. We talked once and, concerning gay people or sodomites, homosexuals, and he told me, he said, Jason, he said, I don't believe God would send them to hell. He said, I believe even gay people can be saved. Sodomites can be saved, right? Well, that's not the case because the Bible, Jesus Christ told us if we don't stop doing that stuff, we'll perish. But in this man's mind, he was a nice guy, right? And he wanted to believe that as long as somebody said like the sinner's prayer, right? Some little chant. Yeah, like a get out of jail chant. And they didn't really believe. All that is just believing in like an imaginary thing. Little sinner's prayer chant, right? He wanted to believe, because I heard another man tell me basically the same thing. He wanted to believe that if that person said that it didn't even really matter whether they believed it or not, just if they said it, like God would save them and not send them to the eternal lake of fire. Because that's a harsh thing to think about, right? You know, person melting alive for all of eternity, right? But this same pastor later came to me and he told me, he said, Jason, when I was a young kid, he said, I was in elementary school, and he said, we had another young boy there. And this young boy didn't go to our church house, and his family weren't Christians, and he died. This kid couldn't have been 8, 9, 10 years old. It was that age range. And he said, I knew, I had a dream that night about him burning alive in the lake of fire, and I knew he was in hell. Yeah? Well, see, that's the problem right there. What kind of God would do that to all of eternity, consciously? Think about that for a minute. Consciously. For all of eternity, living but dying in a lake of fire. Yeah? To an 8 or 9 or 10-year-old kid.
Just because his parents didn't go to church.
Church, right?
And he didn't say that chant.
He didn't say the chant, right? You're making God into the same kind of Greek gods that the people were believing in here in Purge when Paul showed up. You're making God into the God that would create supernatural devils, supernatural demons, supernatural all these things, yeah? To torment man and then lie and turn around and say, but God loves people, right? People know that's not true when you're telling them stories like that.
Yes, because it makes God not just. And he is just because that's what the Bible says.
This is the stuff that these Pharisees were teaching during the Second Temple period that came out of Babylon. It was pagan, Persian, Babylonian, Greek myths repackaged into Judaism. And Jesus condemned it. He gave the parable about Caiaphas, yeah? The high priest. That's who the rich man is. The parable of Lazarus and the rich man, yeah? I have 5 brothers, don't let them come here. Send them back. Caiaphas had 5 brothers. All 5 of his brothers, he had married the daughter of Ananias, the other high priest. When you look into the history through Josephus, the Romans kept good records of who the high priests were at that time. All 5 of those brothers were high priests as well. That's why he's clothed in fine linen, in fine purple and all of that stuff, and fares, well, does good, has fat, yeah. He's talking about the high priest. Lazarus, who's laying outside of the gate, it's the same gate. I guarantee you that maimed man was laying outside of when Peter and John walked in the book of Acts. The gate is called Beautiful. It's the gate to the temple there. Lazarus was laying outside of there, covered in leprosy. The dogs were licking his sores. Jesus Christ gave a parable to those Pharisees that were teaching evil shit, like these teachers that you say are nice or good or know the right way. They were teaching the same evil stuff then. They were saying because we're teachers, because we have all this stuff in the world, this is proof. In the afterlife, we're going to Abraham's bosom, right? Yeah? There's no afterlife like that. But that's what they were teaching people. They were saying Lazarus and people like him, people like his sister, that poor woman, yeah, she was doing this kind of stuff to probably take care of her brother. They were the lowest of the low in society. People treated them like dirt. And then called them sinners and evil people and all of these things. And these wicked people we're good, we're better than everybody else. Look at us going into our church houses, temple house, synagogue. Look at how nice we are. Oh, rabbi, 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 doctor, 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 pastor, pastor, pastor. Same stuff today. Snotty, look down your nose at everybody else. This is what they were doing. And then saying, in the afterlife, we're going to Abraham's bosom. And Lazarus, because of who his sister is and because of all the diseases he's covered with, that's proof. God hates him. He's going to hell. For all of eternity, the eternal fire. See, that eternal fire shit, that comes from Babylon in the afterlife. You'll find out, Zoroastrianism, same stuff. That is not the eternal fire Jesus or the Apostle John is talking about. That's parable. Jesus flipped it around on them and gave them something to think about. He said, you know what? Because you've had nice stuff in this life, maybe it's you who's going to the eternal fire. And it's Lazarus because Lazarus is the one that's going to get resurrected. It'll be Lazarus that gets eternal life. See, when he looks up in hell, being on fire, and he says, have Lazarus come and dip water on my tongue, yeah, so that I can quench this fire. It's not talking about literal fire. There's no 10-year-old kids God's roasting alive for all of eternity. That would be awful. God's love, he wouldn't do something like that. God always said, I remind myself they're just flesh, and flesh passes away. Period. He gets pissed at us, the evilest of us, and then he reminds himself, they're just flesh and blood. They're going to pass away, and there ain't nothing more to them. And he has mercy. He's not doing what those Pharisees were saying. The fire that Pharisee, or the fire that the high priest, you know, the parable for Jesus was given, that fire that he wanted quenched on his tongue with a little bit of water, that was eternal death. That's what eternal fire is. Go to Isaiah chapter 66 and you'll see at the very end where their worm dies not and their fire isn't quenched. It's talking about eternal death. That's what eternal hell, or that's what hell being cast into the eternal fire, that's what it is. It's eternal destruction. And that man, his spirit, in the sense of like what he was, it would want to live. It would cry out to God the same way Abel's blood cried out from the ground, wanting life. Yeah, he's in hell. Yeah, he ain't getting it. The water that he's wanting on his tongue to quench the fire, it's the water of life. He's wanting to live again, but there ain't none. That's the great shame that's coming to everybody who doesn't accept the truth. At the end of this world, there is a God. He's going to resurrect everybody, just like he said, and judge them all. Yeah? One of two books. You either get judged by the law, or you get judged by the book of life through Jesus Christ. You either live in the law of the Spirit of love and truth, the Spirit of Jesus Christ and faith, or you live through the book of the law. Most of the world wants to live through the book of the law. They say they're good people, and they ain't done nothing wrong, and they're going to have wrath poured out on them. That's the problem. And after that happens, yeah, the resurrection of the dead, Daniel tells you, many that sleep in the dust of the earth, yeah, will come forward. Some to everlasting life, some to everlasting shame and contempt. Well, you go to Isaiah 66 and you'll see right at the end there as well that all of the bodies, God's going to have all of the bodies there at the end laying as a horror, that's what it says, a shame or a terrible thing, so he can make a point to the people that have been given life. This is what happened to the men who disobeyed and rebelled against me, a good God. These are their bodies. They're there. They've got no life in them. Go read Ezekiel. Go read the dry bones prophecy. Yeah? You can resurrect the body without it having life. Life is that final thing that's put into it. Yeah? Think about that for a minute. That's the judgment that's coming. That's the shame. They're going to get to see. Psalms tells you they will not stand in judgment. What does that mean? With congregation, right? It means they won't have life. They're going to be laying there dead. While the people who obey the truth, even if they kill us, even if they kill you, if you obey the truth, Jesus Christ will raise you from the dead. You will stand in judgment. Don't you understand? That's what Daniel's talking about when he says, I seen thrones. That's the wheels of fire. What you're calling UFOs, it's not. That's the thrones. And them that sat on them, and judgment was given unto them, right? That's in Revelation. It's the same thrones of God that's spoken of in Daniel. It's all of the congregation that stands in judgment. Yeah? The rest of the world will be condemned. They'll be laying dead. That's what we're trying to make you understand. That's how serious this is. Do not do what we're worried about you doing. Stop telling these people the damn lies about fallen angels and UFO hybrids and Catholics and Muslims and all these guys. I just seen a video from you today about the one world religion and their these multi-faith worship centers. The people that make those things are just like them, dead. That's what the book of Psalms says. The people who take their hands to make stuff, their gods, they're dead. Yeah? That's not the one world religion. That's forming. One world religion's already been formed. The one world religion is worshiping the devil. That's what people have always done. Refuse to obey God. Period. Yeah? And it doesn't say anything about a one world religion. It says the whole world worships the beast. Go look up that word worship. It means civil deference also. That means obeying its authority. It doesn't mean like you can't get disobedient people to worship anybody really other than themselves, which is exactly what the damn beast is. That's what the United States, that's what its motto is you're your own man, your own king, your own God. Yeah? That's what the Constitution is, to get you to worship yourself. And we the people. That's exactly what they said back on the plain of Shinar when they freaking baked bricks and started building the first tower up to heaven. We the people. Yeah? That's what the mystery of iniquity that Paul was talking about. That's the mystery of iniquity that was already at work in his day. It was the Roman Empire. SPQR. The Senate and people of Rome, we the people, the whole world coming together under one language. That's what that is. It's not talking about a beast from some other underworld. The beast that ascends out of the bottomless pit that was and is not. The bottomless pit is the mind. You are told in the Bible, just as hell, yeah, that's Sheol, or the grave, and destruction, Abaddon. So are a man's eyes never full. Just as hell, the bottomless pit, and Abaddon. Who's the king of the bottomless pit? Abaddon? Yeah. Destruction. Just as hell and destruction, so are a man's eyes. That's his mind, his imagination. Never full. There's never enough. That's where the beast sins from. He sins from the damn bottomless pit of people's imaginations. They come together and form things like the Roman Empire, like the United States. That's the beast that was and is not and yet is. Yeah, it comes back at the end of the world. A whole world united. That's what's coming next year. That's why we're telling you, we've heard you, you're wrong. You're grasping at straws trying to figure out how to fit what you're getting information out of the world into these false second temple fallen angel doctrines. That's not what they're going to do. They're going to come out and tell you that the Bible is a cargo cult. That's what it boils down to. And everybody that obeys the UFOs, right? That's what they're going to tell people. Obeys what the UFOs are telling them are enemies to humanity. It's kind of interesting because that's what, the Roman, I think it was Tacitus, the Roman historian, he said Christians are an enemy to humanity. The original, not Nicolaitans, because what we do and what we've done in the world, going to church houses, Catholics, it's not an enemy to the world. That's a friend of the world. That's a counterfeit gospel. Yeah? But the original first century Christians that followed the teachings of Jesus Christ, that really followed what the original apostles had told them, of course they were enemies to humanity, because that you can't serve idolatry, technology, all that stuff. You can't worship those things. That's, by the way, what demons are today, that people worship. They don't make them like we showed you in that museum down there. Demons aren't made with like marble anymore. Demons are made with, friggin' Fortran, and AutoCAD, SolidWorks, C++, that's how people make demons today into reality, right? Give them, a type of